Hey, Storm or Demon Lance, it's me, Spikers coming to a video. In this video, I am turning more MHA Class 1A students into elementals. In this video, I turn, let me think, Jira into an Earth Elemental, Coda into Water, then I turn Deacon Kaminari into Fire, and finally, Minera Mineta into an Air Elemental. Well, I hope you all enjoyed today's video. Now let's get into it. Let's go. Okay, I am back, and for the record, I am the Dema/Monster interviewer. My brother is the cataloger and hunter. I am going to be looking at some more creatures, more elementals, actually. First one, creature name, Earth Elemental, Rock and Roll. Most common name is Rock and Roll. The reason why is because of the these Earth Elementals have the ability to create sound waves and use that to either disorient or actually physically harm their opponents. It's an interesting ability. If they were golems, they would fall under the crystal golem subclass. Crystal golems, but there's a difference between crystal golems and earth elementals. Crystals are made of earth because they are carbons in there. So there's that. But also the fact these golems are always around 6 feet. The earth elementals are always around 6 feet tall and always weigh around only 1 ton. Whereas the golems, and they have 2 eyes, lots of cracks, and somewhat of a neck. Not to mention something that looks like actual feet and 5 claws on each arm. Like I already stated, this one can create sound waves, but they can also plunge their crystal protrusion into rock in order to see or feel wherever sound vibrations are coming from. Let's say there is a creature about 500 feet away, hidden behind in a maze in a rock, and the creature is being used by someone to find the way out. And the person knows there's a monster nearby. They could ask the Earth Elemental to plunge the crystal into the wall. The crystal will then sense the vibrations of the creature, and then the Earth Elemental will tell the human where the creature is and how to avoid it. And also, if they're lucky, how to get out of there. If I remember correctly, my brother actually was that person. He was only around 500 years. He was only around 20-ish. He was young when that happened. Sadly, he doesn't really use her anymore. He mostly used her as a guard. But he's stupidly strong. He does care about his creatures. It might not seem like it, but he actually does it quite a bit. This one, I'm referring to her because, like I already stated, my brother has one. He calls her Jur. Jur is, for the record, they also have red markings on their face that look like either sometimes indent or marking. It's hard to say, but in general, it's just there. She said that she is one of the strongest of her race, but she's not really that strong compared to some others. She's just able to use an interesting technique. She can actually use her own heartbeat. Is that correct? Heartbeat? Well, everyone can do this at some point in their life of her race of Earth Elementals, but she has more fine control over it. What she can do is by heartbeat, I mean like the magical pulsing from their eyes, which is their actual heart and power source. You destroy that, they're out of commission. but they sometimes can regenerate it on special occasions. Um, she stands up around 5'10", about 2 inches shorter than the average of that height. And the reason why Jira can only have such a technique is because, well, she was forced to more or less master the technique because she was imprisoned and she couldn't get out, and she didn't have any sound waves because it was a soundproofed area. Then she realized the magical pulsing in my eyes works at sound beats. So she used that and send the magic into her crystals, causing them to power up enough for her to punch her way out. That's when my brother found her. Took her in, and now they are a good team. Okay, now let's get to the next elemental. Okay, this next elemental is a water elemental. It's a very interesting elemental. This elemental is known as, well, creature name, water elemental. Name, and it's known as water emo voice. Most common name is water emo voice. These water elementals have the ability to communicate to animals, much like a dragon and a golem my brother went over. The golem being the animator, and the dragon being a very rare and very shy dragon known as the Anima Whisper. Both of those dragons are somewhat related because they share similar properties and all that. This one is different. It's a water elemental, whereas the other ones are more or less solid. It has some odd ice parts, like the ice piece. The ice piece on its head looks like a glacier, but from what I can tell, it's just there. I think it's there to more or less as an antenna to actually see and find out where some creatures are. But more or less, it's actually just there for decoration. I'm still trying to figure out what that is for. But I've got a good idea, I think. I think it's actually more or less just used for sensing, or just a headpiece. Because they do it in a fight. Some people go for the head because they think that's where the crystal is. In reality, it's just a liquid, so no way to actually get rid of it. But the main piece is the ice piece on their mouth area. This looks like a mask, but in reality, it's actually works as a speaker. A speaker works like a cone. The way a speaker works is you have a cone and you talk into it. And then as it goes through, it gets louder and louder. And eventually it's a pretty loud yell. But this one has multiple holes, but they're actually pretty big, but not very long. That's where the magical properties come in place. These creatures can have two powers: the ability to talk and control, and more or less have animals do something. But then there's the water control they have. It's sort of like bloodbending from the Avatar. They don't take full control of the creature. They more or less send signals through the water into their brain, which is more effective for nearby. Now that's a real interesting ability. Now let's get to the next one of today. I just want to do the same thing. I hope you all enjoyed today's video, and don't forget to hit the like button. Now, let's get back into this video. Let's go. The next one of today is a fire elemental, and it's a fairly interesting one on the count that there's very little fire on it. The only fire on here is the hair, which is actually more yellow, plus a little black streak on the head. The eyes are a yellow with some black lightning-like pupils. The neck, though, is your standard fire. Same thing with the the arm parts that connect to the rocks. But then there's rock claws, and then the torso is a big giant rock. Same thing with the waist and legs. But then again, the feet are claws too. The rock claws. But the flames are connecting the waist to the rocks and the torso to the waist. But on the hands, though, it's weird. Because it makes up for this. Because they control electricity. Creature name: Fire Elemental. Controlled electricity. Common name: Controlled electricity. Well, controlled lightning anyways. Sorry, messed up. Creature name: Fire Elemental. Controlled lightning. Common name: Controlled lightning. These creatures have the ability to, well, control lightning. They have a set amount of voltage they can use. And, well, technically, while fire is not really plasma or gas, it's actually more of an in-between. From what I can figure out. Due to this, it has the ability to superheat its body, but mostly in its hands, to create lightning. These lightning bolts can go up to 2 million, sometimes on rare occasions, 100 million volts. But at the end, it only has one thing: the yay mode. Too many, the fire actually dims and starts getting slower, but it goes yay because so much energy was used and it can't really function. Now let's get to the last elemental of today. The last elemental today is one elemental I really do not like. They're huge perverts, and it makes it worse because they're air. Creature name: Air Elemental. Air Pockets. Common name: Air Pockets. These little guys only stand around maybe 3 feet tall, but like Chris did, they're solidified air. Really, the only way to destroy one is by, well, flames. Actually, it's weird. Just have it doused in gasoline, light it on fire, or just throw it into the vacuum of space. That's really the only way to get rid of it I can figure out. But the abilities of this creature my dislike for them didn't really stop me from studying them further. From what I figured out, their ability is to create air pockets. They can do this underwater. They can help people by placing little air pockets where they can breathe. It has an infinite supply of oxygen. But there's also the other ability. It can be used for capturing, like someone tripping and stepping on one. The air actually closes up around them and it swirls in so violently it actually cuts you if you hit it. Then there's the third thing they can do: traps. These actually release a big gust of wind that is sharp enough to cut you. They're very interesting creatures, but they're huge perverts. Depending on the gender of it, they are sometimes known to hide in the locker room or the bathroom of the men or women. Ay, caramba. The only way I've been found to figure out how to get them out of there is a vacuum cleaner, for crying out loud. There are nicer ones that aren't perverts at all, actually. But that's a good, it's like 50%, 45%, but the rest are just huge perverts. Well, that's all the elementals for today. Hope you all enjoyed me turning Class 1A students into elementals today. Well, until next time, subscribe to Adrian's Box or Demon Alliance. Goodbye and peace out.